10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome everybody tuning in on social media, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Welcome everybody. Appreciate you jumping on. This is day one of the Jimmie Oakman takeover, the Rising Coaches takeover. Jimmie Oakman has hijacked all of our social media channels and is going to be taking over all week long. Jimmie, what's up, man? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I don't know how long this is going to last. If people are going to get sick of me in the first 20 minutes, so we'll see how this thing goes.
No, you can never get sick. There's no such thing as too much Jimmie Oakman. Yeah, we're excited, man. This is something new we're trying, and I think it'll be fun. Jimmie's got stuff in store for us all week long, and really a lot going on in the Rising Coaches world this week and next week. So lots to talk about, man. I'm excited about it. First and foremost, shout out to our sponsor, Tactic from RT Software, the best telestration tool in the game, now affordable for coaches of all levels. You've seen it on TV, on ESPN and inside the NBA. Now they've got a product that's affordable for all coaches. So head to RT Software's website and check out the product Tactic. Also Tactic Lite for people looking for a more affordable package. All right. Here's what we got on tap for this week, Jimmie. Busy week tonight and tomorrow night, October 4th and the 5th, the Women's Empowerment Series presented by our DEI Alliance. Our VP for women's basketball, Kim Hampton, former New York Liberty legend in your neck of the woods there, Jimmie, has been heading up this panel and putting together an unbelievable free Zoom available to anybody that wants to join. Tonight at 8:30 Eastern and tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern. They put together an unbelievable panel. Shoot us a DM if you want info, or the sign up form is on our Twitter page and on our website as well, risingcoaches.com. This is a free event, free Zoom. Come check it out. Participation is appreciated. It's going to be an open forum with some unbelievable minds, decision makers in the industry. Also on the front of our DEI Alliance, Jimmie, and we're going to be bringing in Brian Burton in a few minutes to talk about it a little bit. We're going to be leaking and announcing our Next Up participants. This is the Next Up Head Coach Training Initiative. This is year 2 for us, so we're excited about that. Science of Basketball next week. Unbelievable conference. We'll get into that a little bit. Great speakers, great topics. And then this Wednesday at 6 Eastern, Jimmie Oakman, the members-only Zoom, focusing on special situations, end-of-game situations, which you do a lot of that for the Nets, don't you? Isn't that was part of what you guys did last year? You were kind of headed up your guys' end-of-game.
Yeah, definitely. That's been kind of like my forte, I guess, since I've been here, is kind of just, diving in. I think we kind of talked about this before, like just getting bored with the same old topics from all the coaches that want to hit on normal stuff. I hope to, give some tangible information to coaches, how to approach end of game for their team and scouting. So it should be interesting and something new.
Absolutely. So that's Wednesday night, 6 Eastern. Head to the member site for info on that. If you're not a member and you want to check it out, go to our webpage and sign up today. All right, Jimmie, I'm excited, man. Let's get into it. That's all the announcements today.
Before we get into it, like I know they're your sponsor, and you didn't bring me here to plug your sponsor, but Tactic's amazing, man. Like I've got to mess around with it for a bit, and I've showed some coaches at the NBA what this program looks like. And for coaches that are trying to break in, if you can master that thing and make things look presentable, you can get a job, because that's how these things work. Like that's the next wave of teaching, and if like their telestration software is second to none. I'm not getting paid for this, so it's no, that software is tremendous, and I advise everybody to kind of check it out and get their feet wet with it.
Absolutely. We try really hard to only partner with brands that we believe in, and yeah, Tactic really is the best. So appreciate you saying that. Also, Jimmie, we got the poll question of the day. Each day this week, we're going to be dropping a poll question for you guys. Shoot us a comment in the chats. Shoot us a comment on social media. Today's poll question of the day: favorite pregame song or playlist. So we need a clarification. I was talking to Andy Farrell earlier. He wanted to know, is this like walkout music or is this what you're listening to? It's not walkout music. That's maybe for another day. If you want to answer it like that, that's cool. But what we're talking about is what are you listening to in the locker room before the game starts?
So I've had some really cool staffs I've been a part of, and we usually play music in the coach's locker room. And some of the guys are, a little bit older than me, but it's a lot of like 90s rap with Biggie, especially, being in Brooklyn, and Tupac and stuff. But for me, personally, I like to work out beforehand too and kind of get my own zone. So a lot of it's more, current Drake-ish stuff, and could be some R&B stuff depending on my mood. But anything more current rap is kind of where I lie. So
are you going like upbeat, or are you going like smooth Drake, like R&B?
It can really depend. Depends how my mood is. If I need to calm down a little bit, it'd be like more of the softer Drake stuff. Depends if I'm working out. So if I'm lifting heavy, it's probably more something upbeat. I can't be, in my fields trying to lift some heavy weights. So no, it definitely depends on the mood. But generally, it's been a lot more old school stuff in our locker room, which is funny because you got a bunch of older dudes rapping and stuff. So that's fun.
Absolutely. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, I just put it on Twitter. There's the poll question. Chime in anytime. We'd love to hear what you guys listen to. Favorite pregame song or playlist. All right, Jimmy. Let's talk a little bit about the off season, man. What did you do this summer? Did you get a chance to take some time off? Or you just chilling by the beach somewhere?
Yeah, no. There was no off time. This year, obviously COVID kind of changed everything this year, and the NBA is trying to get back on a normal schedule. So the offseason was condensed, if you want to call it offseason. I didn't really have one, dating back to G League bubble, going right from like basically Christmas time and preparing for whatever that was going to be like until the end of the season, led me to scouting for the draft, which led to draft workouts, which led to the draft, obviously, and then right into summer league. And, probably had a week or so between summer league and when some guys wanted to get in the gym to work out. And it's kind of right back to it, honestly, which is, kind of ideal. I don't really like having downtime. So, you don't want to get burnt out, but you got to pick your spots. And really no off season. We're right back to it. We played, Brooklyn played yesterday. So first preseason game and we're right back at it.
So you kind of, I don't know if you're known for this, but like you always kind of took on special projects in the off season. I remember like back in the day, you did like left hand closeouts or weak hand closeouts, challenge shots. What else have you done? You've done all kinds of playbook stuff. Was there any special project that you could share that you did this off season, or is all that classified, top secret?
I don't know if there's anything really classified anymore, but for me, it's always trying to find something that's, I don't want to say cutting edge, but something that people aren't really looking at. So when everyone's looking left, I want to go right and try to find, we'll probably get into a little bit about trends going forward, but mostly it's really just evaluating, being an expert on your own players and evaluating your players all the time. Like, all right, we evaluated our players, we drafted them, but you have to constantly keep evaluating these players. So finding different ways to understand player development. And I think that's such a huge part going forward. And, as the NBA starts having a true minor league system with the G League, I think player development is going to, propel a lot of organizations forward. And I think that's where something for me, where I watch a lot of these guys play college basketball and understand what translates and what doesn't, and how can we, ramp up their efforts to make them full-time NBA players. So I think that's where I've spent a lot of my time, is maybe not like a project, but trying to counterbalance, player evaluation and player development and kind of what that leads to for each player.
What are like what's the gym like in the summertime for like a G League team? Are your guys, I imagine not many are around.
Right.
So are you in there are you working anybody out, or just pros that are in the area, or Brooklyn's guys, or is there not much workouts other than the pre-draft stuff?
So, we've been around and, players have been in the gym playing pickup and stuff like that. So that's just usually standard preseason stuff. There's a few guys we've traded for in this offseason for Long Island, and guys that we'll have in the gym. And some of the guys that played summer league with us will be with Long Island, and returning players we'll have. So I've got to touch a little bit of them. Some of those guys are home, and you're just trying to give them a plan. You're just checking in with them. You don't want to kind of inundate them with stuff right now. You want to make sure they're healthy and kind of ready to go. We'll have some guys fly in about 2 weeks or so. We'll start ramping up our efforts, and then, kind of lead into G League training camp. But that's the hard part that people don't understand. We only get these guys for 5 months of the year. And it's kind of like Division III a lot. Like, you hope that a lot of these guys are doing this stuff on their own. And I think there's a misconception like, oh, you guys they're professionals, like you're with them all the time. Like, it's really not the case. So it can be tricky, but it's fun too.
Awesome. Talk to me about the pre-draft stuff. Like, what is that like? Are you in there leading workouts? Are you watching? Is everybody in the staff in the gym, or is it just like GM and front office?
Yeah, it's this year was a little bit different because of COVID protocols, but definitely on the floor with the guys and instructing workouts and being a part of things and trying to find out the best way to evaluate these guys. And there's there's a million ways to do this and try to figure it out. And I think the draft workouts just maybe 1% of the whole evaluation process for these guys. It's more about, for me, when I get to talk to a guy and get to understand like how he communicates and is he able to comprehend what I'm telling him. I think that's where you can't see it on film. The things you can't evaluate on film is what you bring them in for in person. And of course, the front office is there, and it's a million eyes on these kids, and it's tricky, and you understand that they're under immense pressure, and you can't live and die. Hey, he shot 90% from 3 in our workout. It could be an anomaly if a guy shoots 20%, and so you don't want to put too much stock into a lot of those things. Now, that happens all the time, but I think you got to understand it's just one workout, and I think you just want the other piece of the puzzle.
Do you enjoy like the pre-draft stuff? And I would think that'd be fun to like get a sneak peek.
It is. And it's a way for you to develop a relationship with these guys pretty quickly, because you don't know, like, we work out, 70 guys, and, you get 5 of them roughly, right? So at the max, like we drafted 5 NBA players, but, you start to feel around the league, you go into events and summer league, and you run into these guys, and you get to know like some guys are so easy to root for, regardless of what team they're on. You want their success for them, and you bump into somebody and you say like, "Hey, you played a great game last night. Good to see you doing well," and those conversations. But that's kind of why I loved college basketball, is because you evaluate these guys in AAU, then you get to coach them, and you can kind of see their development throughout. And it's similar to that in the G League too. And some of the guys that come out are 18, 19 years old, and you're helping them grow. And there's a lot of what I loved in college that still happens in the G League. So it's really fun.
Is anybody like what's the process like after the workout? Like, is there, you guys all meet and talk about it? Do you write a written report and submit it? Or do people not really, like the GM does what the GM does and they don't care what the coaches think?
I think it's generally like the coaches, if there's any important feedback to relay, or like, if you didn't, like a player had a terrible attitude or something like that, you could never pick up on film, that's the information you're trying to relay. Or maybe someone was overly intelligent and was thinking the game at such like an elite level, like those kind of outliers. If it's nothing that really stands out, you're generally not going to relay the information. They kind of already done their homework, and you got scouts all over this country that are talking to the inner circle of the guys, and they know every little bit of detail about them. So it's really just our, what did we gather from that one workout, and anything relevant to the front office would help sway to try to bring this guy in or stay away from.
Love it. Very cool. Very cool. I would think that would be like one of the most fun parts of it. So I was always curious, like how it is. All right, talk to us about like your team and your season coming up. You got a little promotion that I saw was just announced, right?
Same. I think it's the same. I don't really.
Well, they do the press release every year, like it's a big.
Yeah. So, no, it's exciting. Like honestly, like since being on the call with you, I've already had the 2 new assistants already text me about other stuff today. So we've already kind of developed a relationship, and one of the guys was in the Brooklyn video room last year. So I'm excited to work with these guys. Our head coach is awesome. He's not only just a great basketball mind, and his resume speaks for itself, but just an awesome person. Coming from Australia, and his background, I'm going to steal anything and everything I can from him, and just getting to know him as a person. It's great to, try to learn from guys that have such a drastically different approach in a different country, but basketball is universal, and he's just a guy that I enjoy being around every day, and I'm excited for the players that we coach to learn from him.
So give us a quick rundown, like who's you tell us your new staff here, because you're the only holdover, right? Everyone
only holdover again. So it's always interesting this time of the year. But Adam Caporn's our head coach. He was assistant coach for the Australian national team. He was a director of player development over in Australia for the Institute of Sport. We also have Lance Harris, who's going to be an assistant with us, who's in the Brooklyn video room. He had a great career playing overseas, and this is going to be his first real coaching opportunity, and I'm excited for him. And James May is also joining us. He's been around the G League a little bit, was also a head coach internationally, and he played at such a high level too. So we're going to have a pretty balanced staff as far as experiences go, and we're already talking about basketball things we want to look at, and talking to the players and how we want to make them NBA guys and make them stick. And I think it's really exciting to mesh with the new staff and mesh with the players.
And who was your head coach last year?
Brett Brielmeyer was our head coach last year.
Where did he go?
He's an assistant coach with the Orlando Magic now.
Okay.
So he's what a great human being he is. And I still probably talk to him. I don't know if I talk to him, but I probably bother him at least once every other day. So he's probably why is he texting me? But no, he's awesome. We still keep in touch with the whole staff from last year too. So
I imagine there's tons of turnover all the time. Obviously in the G League with players, but coaches, you really probably have a new coaching staff every year, every other year.
Man,
do you have any sense of do you change your whole? It's got to be a new culture now, right? You got a new guy in charge.
Yeah, it's
handle all that turnover.
It's interesting. I think that's I was talking to a friend the other day. Coaching in the G League is probably one of the hardest leagues to coach in, just because of the turnover. And this is my fourth head coach I worked for in the G League in 4 years. I've worked for 2 summer league head coaches, and I've worked for 3 NBA head coaches in the past 37 months. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but that makes it, you got to open your eyes and look at the positives a little bit. You're learning from so many different people of how they do it. A lot of first-time head coaches, and you kind of pick and choose what you like. And I take pride for me in being around first-time head coaches, and I just look out for their blind spots, honestly. Regardless of whatever my title is, my job is to make sure that they look as good as possible and leave nothing unturned, and try to keep them aware of what to look out for, because a lot of guys have never seen the G League. So anything I can do to make their lives easier, I think that's what my goal is beyond anything else.
Do you have any sense of how you guys will play? Have you guys met as a staff yet and gone through that stuff, or not yet?
Yes. So what we've done in past years is pretty much mirror exactly what Brooklyn's doing. That's our style of play, offense, defense, schematically is going to be very much that. Sideline, out of bounds, baseline, all that stuff is going to be, I would say 99% the same. We'll have some wiggle room, I'm sure, to do, obviously we can run our own ATOs and stuff like that, but we'll try some things, see what looks good, what works, and maybe pass up the ladder if it, we think it deems fit for Brooklyn and what they're doing. But pretty much our philosophy of how we're going to approach the game is going to be the same, but how we approach player development and all that will be unique to us.
How is that standard across the board? All G League teams do what their parent team does?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You see some teams do a little bit, some things different, but they don't really veer off course too much. I think, there's maybe a directive to try something, maybe it's pressing or something like that maybe the parent club doesn't do, or maybe you have some special zone that you want to test out. And I think that's what the G League's for too, not just the development of players, but for coaching. And if you see something that works, and we talked about left-hand closeout, maybe you test that with a team, just for example, and hey, maybe there's something to it. Maybe it's a game plan thing, but I think that's the role of the G League is to find out what works in developing players and coaches.
I love it. So, going back to the turnover in each year, new staff and all that, what about in terms of culture and how you're going to build team chemistry? That's such a personal deal. That's got to change, right?
Yeah, that's, the more I've been in this, I don't want to say I don't believe in culture. And I think culture is such an interesting word of how people look at it. I don't think you can manufacture culture. Like there's no event that you can do that's going to make your team a like more cohesive unit. I think in credit to our front office and how they bring players in, I don't think we sacrifice on character. So you never see in a team that has a bunch of good guys and staff that has a bunch of good guys that don't have good culture, and vice versa, right? You bring a bunch of bad dudes in, like I don't care how many picnics you have and how many team dinners you go to, like your culture is not going to be anything worth it. So I think when you bring in good people and you have the right staff in place, and I think that's where your culture kind of lies, just as sum of all the parts.
Awesome. Fascinating stuff, man. All right. We're going to shift gears here a little bit. We'll get back into Long Island in a little bit, but want to bring in Brian Burton from All Access Network, Vice President of the DEI Alliance for Men's Basketball. Brian, good morning, man.
Good morning. Good morning. You got Jimmy. I mean, we're talking hoops with Jimmy. I need to be on this more than every show, man. Let's go.
I was excited that you were going to be on the show, man. I'm not going to lie. I was like, it got me a little bit of flashbacks of me and you running some things. So
I know, man. That was a good time. I missed that.
Brian, welcome, man. Good to see you as always. Appreciate you jumping on. Before we get into the DEI stuff, you got to take a stab at our poll question. Poll question of the day. Favorite pregame music, song, or playlist? What do you listen to? Man. This is not walkout music. This is what you got on your headphones in the locker room before the game starts.
As a coach or as a player?
Either.
It's a little different. Come on, go coach, man. Go coach. Players like that's
it's a little different mode. That's been a while. I've been telling myself, as a coach, man, I don't know if I'm probably more. I don't know. That's a good question. I'd say probably almost more like getting like an instrumental groove, like just like block everything out, just because your thoughts are more clear. I don't want to hear other people's words and lyrics, and I just want to be able to have something that's noise that's a little more calm and relaxed, kind of get me in the zone to go over the stuff I want to go over. So I would say that.
I love it. I was going to guess you were like an R&B guy. I would have guessed.
I'm going smooth jazz instrumentals, or I'm going like straight meditation soundtrack. Like, let's go.
Like
a fountain.
Like, what'd you say?
Like a fountain in the background and so
like that, exactly like that, on some Mamba type stuff.
Yeah. That was scary. No wonder why he was a psycho on court. That's his stuff.
I agree. What was yours? I didn't hear this part of it. What was everybody else's?
So, yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, mine was much more about the staff. We used to always have music playing in there. So the guys I was with were much more 90s rap. So it was more Biggie, Pac, and stuff like that. For me, it was more current stuff on rap if I was going to work out, but nothing too crazy. It wasn't like listening to some, Friday the 13th theme music or something like that. It was nothing in that world.
And what was yours? Like Metallica, or like what was yours, Adam?
No, yeah, I haven't answered you yet, but I would like go and get on the bike before the game and get like a quick like sprint on the bike and try to go really hard.
Like one sprint or like multiple sprints?
Like multiple. So I would go like Method Man, Redman, that Blackout album. I know it's old, that's like late 90s, but like, I can go to that anytime, and that's gonna get me in the right mindset. I want to get hyped up. I try to like stop thinking about the game before it starts so that I go in with a clear mind. I don't know if it works or not, but that's what I would go with.
I gotta learn from you guys. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, love it.
I'm all over the place enough too. Where I'm like, I need to just like calm, like get into a lane, like block out all the madness, because there's gonna be some madness coming in a minute.
No doubt. Well, Brian, welcome, man. We appreciate you joining us. We know there's a lot going on with the DEI Alliance this week.
Yeah,
starting tonight with the Women's Empowerment Series at 8:30. DM us for the line the sign up link. That's tonight and tomorrow night at 8:30. Women's Empowerment Series, and then tell us what we got going on. Tell us what next up is and what's happening there, Brian.
Yeah, next up, super cool. The first initiative from the DI Alliance, really, really powerful initiative. Really giving assistant coaches access to the job interview process to become a head coach. And so a really cool simulation, having a search firm host it. They give each candidate, let me go backwards. So we select 12 candidates from the groups within our alliance. Each alliance member group nominates 2 people. There's kind of a process we go through to select. And then there's 12 finalists. So of the 12 finalists, all of them get onto a Zoom call in their particular night, whatever they're assigned and whatever they sign up for. And they have a school that they're given. So if Jimmie Oakman is interviewing, he may get Boston University or Boston College. And Jimmy's job is to prepare as if he's really going to interview for that school. So it gives you more specific way to approach the interview process and give you a real simulation instead of just asking you questions to see if you can answer randomly. So, and usually those schools are something that fits in their path or their recruiting area. So Jimmie has ties to Boston. So that would make sense for him. So something like that. So then after they go through it, they actually get live feedback from the search firm, almost like you're doing an exhibition game, if you will, where you can, play an extra half if you wanted to, or play, or a scrimmage. So it's more like it's a dress rehearsal, but it's not so formal that you can't still get feedback and still go through it that way. So really powerful. We had 3 of the 12 last year become head coaches. Jason Hart, who's in the G League now, head coach of Ignite, he was in it. He did a terrific job. Coach G, that's the head coach at don't tell me Colgate, where my wife went to school. Actually, I should know that. She's a head coach now.
Don't mess that one up.
You can't mess that one up. And then Ben Johnson, the head coach at Minnesota. So 3 high-level people that really all did well in it. And we gave a lot of props to not us in terms of them getting the job, but just in terms of going through that experience and what positive experience they had from it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about like where these nominees come from and the groups that put these participants up for
Yeah. So this year it was a handful of different groups, including Black Coaches Association. That's a part of our alliance. All the groups are a part of our alliance, but Black Coaches Association has a representative. Women of Color Coaches Network has multiple representatives this year. Coaches for Change has a representative. Embrace Us has a representative. Latino Coaches Association has a representative. Asian Coaches Association, Jewish Coaches Association, and I'm missing one.
I think that might be Change, Embrace Us,
and Rising Coaches also has a representative. So I think that's all the groups that are represented, which also makes it really cool because it's not there's no political angle or anything. It's the groups that you're in. They know you better than as well as anybody, and they're nominating you based on how they see you. So I think that part is really powerful too, because there's no like, oh, you have to have this special access in order to get in, and you have to be of the who's who. It's like there's people. We have a junior college head coach currently now that is nominated in the next up. So she's a junior college head coach, but she has a chance to be a Division I head coach. She is a star, and the group nominated her, and they felt strongly about her, and they were adamant. So who are we to say anything different? I think that part is the coolest part about it.
Absolutely. We had our selection committee meeting Friday of last week, and it was hard. It was really hard. We had some unbelievable candidates. Last year, we had a great group too, but like when you look at the nominees, it was like, okay, these ones stand out. Like these are 12. But this year, it was like some debates and some hard decisions had to be made.
Some back and forth. I think that's the cool part too, though. It's grown, and I don't know how much people were aware of it, but the groups were. So it was a bigger deal this year. We also had Be Ready. I didn't say them. Be Ready, this is their first time joining the Alliance this year, and so they have a representative as well. But it's grown in the fact that I think people knew what happened last year and they saw the results. So it's like, well, we got to make sure we get more coaches nominated. So I think we had more nominees this year total as well, also helped the quality.
For sure. And last year it was led by Katie Young-Stout of Turnkey Search. And this year that's going to be kind of a rotating deal. This year is led by Herb Courtney of Renaissance Search and Consulting. Yep. Herb is as good as it gets at this stuff, and has the experience of like having spent over a decade in coaching. So he gets it. It's not just the corporate admin approach. It's also somebody who's sat in that chair and been in those interviews as well.
Yeah, somebody who's he's rising in he's just now created this Renaissance search firm. I think he's a little over a year old, and he's already had a handful of searches, and he's going to continue to get more. I think that's the part of it. As these coaches continue to rise in their profession, he's going to become more of a relevant player in this thing in his own ways. And you just never know at what levels people want to be a head coach at too, because I think the beauty of Herb, he's going to get some stuff that's non-Division I, and he's going to get some stuff that is Division I. So there's a realm of like, okay, maybe I do want to take a non-Division I job so I can be a head coach for some of these people. And then maybe it's like, hey, I did that interview with Herb. He knows this person. He connected me, and next thing you know, and I think that's what it's about, is just giving more of these coaches access to the decision makers who sit in a totally different space. Like, we network as coaches amongst coaches all the time. But we don't really network at the higher level of, for Jimmie's example, like it's like GM and assistant GM, those levels, where in college it's ADs and search firms. So to be able to give these people access, not only to just say, hi, how are you doing? Nice to meet you, but to give them a chance to really see their skill set and ability. And to be honest, to Ben and Coach G and Coach Hart's credit, they were three of the most impressive last year going through the simulation. So it's no wonder you kind of saw like they're getting an opportunity very soon, and they've been prepping before this. But even talking to Ben, who actually played college ball with my older brother, he called afterwards and was like, man, that was a high level thing you guys are doing. Like, you guys got to keep doing this. This is really valuable. So I thought that was really cool to just know that behind the scenes, they felt like they got value out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Herb Courtney, to your point of a quick rise in the profession. I don't know if he advertises this, but he got quickly like some SEC searches. He did some high major searches in addition to some of the small college searches as well. Like you said, diverse in terms of the levels he works with. But the cool thing about him, the only minority-owned search firm in sports. So kind of really fits into what we're doing. And yeah, very excited about it, man. When are we releasing? When are we gonna make this stuff public? Are we doing this today?
We're gonna do it today, this afternoon. We're gonna build it up a little bit. I thought about it last night, like, why not just build it up a little bit? Let the people tune in to see what's about to happen. So this afternoon, before the workday is over, you'll see some exciting stuff of who the selections are, and we'll get to celebrate those people.
I love it. And then, of course, again, the Women's Empowerment Series tonight. You're going to be helping moderate that. Talk to us just briefly about the Women's Empowerment Series.
Yeah, so Kim Hampton, if you don't know who Kim Hampton is, shame on you. You don't really know basketball. And she played for the New York Liberty, probably the best player to play at Arizona State that's not named James Harden, period. She's broken a tremendous amount of records there, and just a super high-quality person. So she has led this initiative. She's the vice president of women's basketball for the DI Alliance, and we have a really diverse panel. So it'll be 2 nights, a panel of athletic directors, current, both female and male, both white and black. So we get to get a diverse pool there. And then we have an agent who represents some of the best coaches in the industry. We also have 2 former coaches, that have had multiple Division I head coaching stops. So we'll have a really diverse group of panelists that can speak a lot of truth. And I think Kim's biggest thing is make the panel section fairly short so that the participants can have as much access to those people as possible to ask their own questions. And I think, again, it goes back to access. One of the biggest missions with DI is to give more coaches access, more minority coaches in particular, but more coaches access to the decision makers so they can actually touch them and ask those questions and get a feel firsthand. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be 3 different panelists tonight and then 3 tomorrow. It'll be jam-packed. And the former coaches, I think this part is in talking to the former coaches that are going to be on the panel. Since they're former coaches, they're going to be a little even more uncut with what they share, instead of somebody who's currently in a position who's kind of looking over, making sure they're politically correct. We wanted to take the politically correctness out of it as best we could to get the real information that people want to know.
Love it. Awesome. It'll be a great time. It'll be super informative. If you want the link, it's on our Twitter page. It's on risingcoaches.com, or you can shoot us a DM and we'll shoot it back to you. But that'll be, again, on Zoom tonight and tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern. Brian, we'll see you there, man. We appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, I got one question for Jimmie before we go. So you experienced head coach this summer life. So tell us a little bit about that, and what was that transition like, and what advice do you have for the next up people that are coming up to be
hey, I wasn't the head coach, man. That wasn't me. That was,
didn't you get a sample in summer league? Didn't I see a head coach moment?
You see me yelling at the refs. I do that really well. I communicate with the refs a lot. So I didn't realize that was going to be on ESPN. I got a lot of messages about that. But
yeah, you went viral on that. I was just making sure.
Yeah. So I go back a few years with him, and we were kind of just joking a little bit. But no, I definitely was not the head coach. I just try to make the head coach look good. That's always my deal. But yeah, the rest, I'm always going to do that with it, no matter what my title is. So I can do that really well.
I love it.
I saw the same thing, man. I saw that picture because it wasn't like, there's like yelling at the refs from the bench where you like stand up and you're pointing and yell. But this was like a half court like conference with.
I mean, it was like a head coach moment. Like
it was a head coach moment. And when I saw it, I had to look it up. I was like, wait, is Jimmie coaching this team? Like,
I fooled everybody, man. I see. I got some tricks. That's.
I thought the exact same thing, but I had to bring it up in joke because it's like that was the head coach moment. So I didn't know if you had anything for us,
Hey, prepare for the moment you want, man. That's what I was trying to go for. I was like, I try to get them on my good side. It looked really bad, but I promise it wasn't that bad.
I love it. So it's the new rivalry in the NBA. It seems like it's Brooklyn and LA. Is that unofficially official, or is it official?
I mean, I'm from Boston, so you don't want to tell Celtics fans that them and the Laker rivalry still doesn't exist. I think a lot of New York is still, the Knicks and the Nets is still the thing too. I'm excited. I think this is an exciting time for basketball, and shoot, man, you never know what's going to happen, especially with pandemic. You're both the best.
Well, appreciate you guys. I'm being summoned by my little one, so that means it's time for me to roll.
Take care, brother.
See you tonight. All right, that was Brian Burton with All Access Network and the DEI Alliance Vice President for Men's Basketball. Lots of stuff going on. We're excited about it. If you're tuning in, we'll just do a quick reset here. I'm Adam Gordon, joined live by Jimmie Oakman on the week of the Jimmie Oakman Rising Coaches Takeover, taking over all channels of our social media. Jimmie's the assistant coach with the Long Island Nets. And some of the stuff we have on tap this week, Women's Empowerment Series, which we just spoke about tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern, a free Zoom, real conversations, real topics with professionals and decision makers in women's basketball. We've got the next up participants being announced later today. Very excited about that. That is a big deal and a big honor and a great opportunity for some assistant coaches to get one-on-one sessions with search firm executives. Our Science of Basketball conference next week. Sign up today, risingcoaches.com. It's going to be awesome. We got great topics, great speakers. Brandon Rosenthal and our staff has done an unbelievable job putting that together. And then this Wednesday night, 6 Eastern, Jimmie Oakman is going to be taking us through end of game situations and special situations on a members only Zoom. Whew, that's a lot, Jimmie. I'm like,
I don't think you picked the right guy to open up for that thing. I was on Slapping Glass and they had Stan Van Gundy and Brad Stevens after me. I'm like, I don't think I do these guys any justice. So this clinic that you have next week too, I don't think I can hold up to this stuff that I'm doing. So I appreciate it, but hopefully they get something out of it. But if you're not a member yet, you have to join for next week at least. So a lot of cool stuff going on for sure.
Absolutely. And what we're doing, if you're not a member and you want to attend this conference for free, you can do so. We're offering a free 17-day trial, which will cover the entire conference. So you can sign up, attend the conference. If you decide Rising Coaches is not for you, just shoot us an email, cancel your membership, and you will not be charged. Or stick around and join us for the entire year. We guarantee one thing: you will meet a ton of great people in the profession. There will be a ton of resources available to you in terms of working on your craft and developing your craft as a coach. And you're going to have a leg up when it comes to be job season because we post job opportunities all the time We're still posting job opportunities. It's
Cheers.
October 4th. Crazy.
It's unbelievable.
I know. This is the latest I've ever seen in terms of like hiring still happening. I still get hit up like twice a week by random coaches that I don't know that need a GA, need an assistant coach, need an ops guy. What are we doing? The season starts next month, people. Let's go.
Seriously, that's what I got a lot of questions too about it. Like, just, hey, if you know somebody looking for this, I'm like, well, man, you guys already started practice. Like, so it's like they got to move, try to, get down there and figure out their life together. This is a great time if you don't have a job to squeeze in somewhere because people are looking and, quick to pull the trigger. So
I know. Jimmie, just not to go off on a tangent here, but like I get frustrated, man, when I see these coaches hit me up about, first of all, we love when coaches reach out and ask for help hiring. That's what we do. It's what we feel like we can really provide value there. But what frustrates me is when these jobs, they just don't pay anything. And I know it's always been like that. And we all cut our teeth with jobs that paid $4,000 a year. I get it. I lived in dorms, slept on couches, ate Taco Bell every day for a week. But like, it's just hard. I wish these coaching jobs would pay a living wage rather than like, here's what you get. Be grateful for it. Don't ask questions. It's tough.
It's definitely frustrating. Like, you'll see, I'm just throwing out figures, obviously, but a head coach that makes $4 million and he has someone on staff who makes $40,000. I'm like, do you realize you make like 100 times what this guy makes? Like, you can't even. Not that 40,000 you can live off. Like, I get it. I'm just throwing out figures here, but like, the same thing. In the NBA world, I'm not saying people don't get paid, but if you're working out a guy that makes $40 million a year, you got to make sure you have the best in the business and pay accordingly, in all regards. And the same thing with college. Like, it's not easy being a college coach. You're on 24/7. There's no days off. A recruit calls you, at dinner time, you got to answer. That's a tough life if you're not making a livable wage, and you might be driving an Uber or something and trying to make ends meet. It's definitely not luxurious, especially when you get started, as people might think. It's really not.
And it limits who can take those jobs, right? Like, if you've got people that are depending on you to support the family or anything like that, you can't go take a job for $7,000 a year.
It's hard.
You got any kind of student debt or any debt, it's hard to do that.
It definitely weeds out a lot of good candidates that, I think that's kind of where you got to look past like the resume and get to know the person in the hiring process and find out, if given equal opportunity, how do they match up? Like if they have had all the same, a kid grows up in a bad environment educationally compared to somebody that had, private schooling, it's going to be completely different. And I think you have to weigh those factors.
And I don't know what the solution is either, because if I'm a head coach, I'm going to stretch every resource I got. I'm going to try to get 10 assistants for $10,000.
Yeah, of course.
But it is a problem. I have no solution. I'm merely pointing out issues.
No, I think it needs to be on the forefront of things, and I think making it evident that it is an issue. And I think a lot of coaches that do climb the ranks, the more, I don't say the modern coach, but the ones that have gone through the process where you can't live off of $10,000 a year for your salary. It's just not possible. Even if you're a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, like it's not feasible without help, And I think as coaches, as we go through this, it's on us as head coaches to take care of the people around us. Like, I love the coaches that give their bonuses to their staff. Like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? It's a collective unit, and they're sweating with you and, crying with you after bad losses and stuff and dealing with the head coach problems. And the least you can do is give back to your staff and, make sure they want to stay and be there with you.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears here. Going back to the poll question today, favorite pregame music or playlist. Andy Farrell, co-founder of Rising Coaches, chiming in. He's going Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J, or Shipping Off to Boston. You're a Boston guy.
What a cheap plug.
You're a Boston guy. We got to talk about the game last night. Did you watch the Patriots and Bucks?
I was so torn, man. I was like, man, I wanted the Patriots to win just being a Boston guy, but Tom Brady back in, here, that's a whole different deal. And
were you emotional?
No, I've gotten past that. But no, it's hard. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, like, you got a lot of fans, but like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, this guy, like, when you're in the sport and the business, you got to understand it's a business at the end of the day. He was part of this organization for 20 years, led to so much success. You want to root for his success. Yeah, the team could win, but like, you're never hoping like he does poorly or gets hurt or anything like that. It's just, kind of how we teach our players too. Like, you want the best for each, and you want to bring your best when they bring their best too. So I think we saw that last night. It wasn't a beautiful game, but exciting nonetheless.
I kind of love how it went down because it was so hyped up, and like, you were hoping for like a shootout, and it was true like Belichick Patriot style, like pouring rain, ugly game. Neither offense could get it going, and it felt like the Patriots, at least if nothing else, dictated the style of play and the tempo. They just couldn't get it done. They didn't have quite enough weapons.
I think that's kind of what it shows what the value of coaching really is. Like Belichick, or everyone says like, who's more to take credit for, Belichick or Brady, blah blah blah. I'm always going to err on the side of the player, in this game. Like we have an impact, but probably not to the level of a superstar does. But you can still see the impact even with a younger team and rookie quarterback that a coach has on the game, and I think people saw that. So pretty cool,
especially on football. Coaches control.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Okay, Jimmy, we kind of touched on this earlier, special projects that you take on in the off season. And every year you see different trends kind of pop up in basketball. I'm trying to think, I think last year you saw a little bit of a return of the mid-range. What do you think is coming next? What trends do you see? And obviously it's all cyclical, so it might not be anything brand new, but something come back or some action that comes back or what do you kind of anticipate seeing a little bit on the court this season?
I think what you haven't, teams like small balls can be kind of in vogue for the last decade or so now, but I think teams are trying to figure out how to use small ball to keep playing. Even if the other team is small, like two small ball teams, like how do you exploit what teams are doing? And I think trying to figure out ways to manufacture how to keep the offense flowing, especially for the teams that don't have ball dominant or superstar players. So whether it's cutting or rolling untraditional guards and stuff like that, and manipulating passing, screening. So I think the game's going to start going more to, I don't want to say completely, but there will be teams that I think play more off the pass and screening, utilizing different guys, maybe in the post, not even just to score, but to facilitate, which you've seen over in Europe for a long time. I think, the more the game becomes flat per se, where, everybody's stealing from everybody, you're finding trends from everywhere, and you're trying to find the counter to the counter. Defensively, I've always been a proponent for teams that are in a smaller market to do stuff differently. Like you can't just constantly, if you're a mid-major team going against a high-major team, you can't play them the same way. So whether it's a zone or press, different things to junk it up, game plan to game plan, or timeout to timeout. I think coaches need to be more strategic. I think NBA coaches are much more conservative and not willing to take chances and risks. I think the one that does step out of the box and has success, I think you'll start to see things change. And I think it really could start with the G League. And I think some coaches might take chances there. So it's always fun to be on the cutting edge of that.
Yeah. Can you give us some examples of that? Like what are some things you've seen in the G League the last couple of years that you're like, that was interesting, or we don't really see that at the NBA level?
Yeah. So Grand Rapids a few years ago defensively, Donnie Tyndall was their coach, obviously a long-time successful Division I head coach. And he did a lot of things defensively that, you don't see in the pro game. He pressed, he went back to zone. He had sort of like a matchup zone. They matched up man-to-man out of it. His numbers defensively were off the chart. And, it can work. They had the personnel for sure too. Like, don't get me wrong, players matter. But there's something to it when you got a style that's different than everybody else. It throws everybody off, because if 29 teams are playing man-to-man and you have a zone that, can morph and do different things, you become pretty, especially on a back-to-back, you become hard to scout. And players aren't used to seeing it, and it can steal a few games for you. So, I think something like that really opened my eyes to be like, all right, we got to think about this a little bit differently. And he was just one example.
Yeah, the Donnie Tyndall matchup zone. Unfortunately, I had some front row seats to that at Morehead State, at Tennessee. He's doing it now at Chipola at the junior college level. That thing's hard to play against.
He's one of the best, man. I give those guys a lot of credit. And, I know a guy that he had on staff really well. And, like, just the way they got the guys to buy in defensively, it creates a great mindset, too. And it was fun to watch. And I mean, even going back to his, like you said, Morehead State days, he hasn't changed much since then, but it's effective no matter the level.
Yeah, and shout out to Jordan Verhulst on the staff.
Now with Memphis, man.
Great dude. What's that?
He's at Memphis now.
I know. Just got the job at Memphis. Congratulations.
Big time. Congrats,
Yep.
man.
Absolutely. But yeah, the other thing it does with that matchup zone is like it changes the way you prepare for games because you don't have to spend hours and hours learning every single set and knowing all their tendencies. You do what you do and you make the offense adjust to you. It kind of allows you to be a little freer mentally heading into games. I
think that's when we've had the most success, at least in the G League. My first year, like we were primarily like a drop defensive team. And I think you got to be great at one defense for sure. But we also had a change up with us that we had a lineup that we put out there. We'd switch everything 1 through 5. So if, things break down or if you want to change the game up a little bit to get a little bit comfortable, if you have that change up that's, pretty good too, I think that's where the best teams can find solace because at this level, you can't just keep throwing fastballs at people. Coaches are pretty good and players figure things out pretty quickly.
No doubt. Jimmy, we got about 5 minutes left. Let's talk a little science of basketball coming up next week.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of talk about some of these topics, some of these speakers, and I want to know which one you're most interested in and fascinated in. The first one is the art of shooting. Chris Oliver is going to moderate this, which is awesome. We got Dave Love, NBA shooting coach, Drew Hanlon, of course, famed player development guy, one of the best in the game. Crystal Robinson, one of the best shooters of all time in the WNBA, author, coach as well. Josh Oppenheimer from the Bucks. So that's the art of shooting. Yeah, pretty damn good to start off. Coming out with a bang.
Jeez, that's going to be fun to watch. I'm just going to be, take a bird's eye view and just kind of watch that one and try to soak up as much as I can, and definitely not get in the way of that.
What questions I feel like I got to really think about a question to ask. So there's such great minds on that panel. Is there anything with shooting that sticks out to you that you always kind of ponder or throw around?
I'd be curious to see in the evaluation process before you work with the shooter, what you're looking for. Especially for players, are you looking to rehaul the shot or just make minor tweaks? Where do you draw the line to delineate between this is broken and can't be fixed, or this it can be tweaked a little bit. But even tweaking, you might go from 32 to 35, or a guy shoots 22. You might need to shoot lefty now or something. Where do you draw that line? So I would definitely be interested to hear your thoughts.
Then we've got how to help players reach peak performance with Brett Goldberg and Kobe Carl, which will be outstanding. Constraints and ecological ideas in basketball with Brandon Rosenthal and Dr. Gray. Building a player development blueprint, moderated by Mike Procopio with Dave Severns and Rod Baker. Athlete cognition, the science of clutch plays, mental mistakes and decision-making, moderating by Andy Farrell with author Dan Peterson. You got Adele Harris from Vanderbilt joining the Rising Coaches podcast. You got the future of integrating technology into basketball, moderated by Alicia Jessup of The Athletic and Davion Ross and Mustafa Abdul Hamid. Unbelievable. And then you got performance psychology, skill acquisition, and sports science with Dr. Len Zakowski and Dr. Rob Gray. Some of these words I can't even pronounce. That's how
I was going to say, this should be a college certificate or something like that, man. This is way above my level. I don't know if I'm prepared for all this, but I'm excited for it. For me, the one I'm looking forward to is Mike Procopio. Shout out, another Boston guy. I'm sure Rod and Dave are going to be tremendous on that. So that's something I definitely won't miss.
Well, and then our guy, Danny Mills, the new GM. Yeah, he'll be on along with Samson Coyote and Andre Patterson of the Cavs, talking about building winning teams. And then we'll do designing an analytically driven offense and defensive system with George Rodman of the Hornets and Chris Oliver again. And then what makes an elite sports performance program with Corey Schlesinger of the Suns and Ramsey Najim of Kansas. So pretty damn good. The thing that I like about it is I just got so tired of doing the same old Zooms trust me, I'm not trying to downplay what we do, the talks about how to navigate the profession and how to be a better leader, and that stuff's great and super valuable. I just personally am freaking tired of hearing it.
Yeah, I can relate. Like,
and so-
you know, we've talked, you know, like, you know, no one likes, I don't even like hearing myself talk. So I'm sure people get tired of hearing me talk too. So like the last thing I want to do is hit the same topics that have been rehashed for the last, you know, 3 years on, you know, similar stuff. But like Danny Mills talk, like nobody's really talked about that, getting, you know, front office view of building a team. Like you don't hear these conversations with people. They generally don't share. So I'll definitely be, you know, I'm going to try to make every single one of these, but those are exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing that's cool about it is the topics are so specific and so targeted that I think it won't just be your typical attendees in this conference. I think, you know, you'll see head coaches sitting in on these Zooms, and you'll see associate head coaches, assistant coaches. You'll see people that really take their craft seriously and are really trying to level up in terms of how they teach the game and approach the game, which is cool. That's what makes, you know, all these things so special, is when you have just the collection of people, not just the speakers, but the collection of people in the room. That's what makes a great event. And I think we're on track for that. It's been crazy. We've had over 350 people sign up so far, which is large. I'm going to have to upgrade our Zoom account, but
I think that's the beautiful thing. Like the people, whenever people look at clinics and stuff and like the events, like you guys host, like I tell people, like, don't even look at the speaker list, just sign up, because the people that go to the event are going to be the ones you hang out with, and that's where the relationships are fostered over time, and that's more important than, you know, hearing this great offense. No offense to anybody that talks, like the material's great. I've spoken, so I'd rather talk to the other people at the events, but it's who you're around that you kind of build through this career with, and that's more important than anything.
No question about it. Well, Jimmie, our time has come for the day, but I appreciate you jumping on here. This was a fun first inning.
First one, man.
Yeah.
If you don't be back tomorrow, man, just let me know. We'll figure it out from there. But
no, we'll be back all week. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern on all our social media channels. The Jimmie Oakman Takeover. Join us tonight for the Women's Empowerment Series. DM us or go to risingcoaches.com for information on how to attend. It's free. And Jimmie, we appreciate you, man, and we'll see you back same time, same place tomorrow.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you as always, man.
All right. Thanks, everybody.